Hey folks, I'm Gary and Carlin, owner of Moss's Creek Outdoors. I'm in southwestern McNairy County, Tennessee. I'm going to be discussing a couple of relatives that come in on my granddad's side of the family from many years ago. My granddad's name was Felix Johnson Taylor. He was born here in southwestern McNairy County in 1877. And I'm going to be discussing, it'll be one of Felix's sons, and then another guy that came in as a cousin on my granddad's side of the family. So this is a trail leading down to the area where the first incident occurred here back in 1933. So, and then later on in the video, I'm gonna jump about a mile down the creek bottom, and I'm gonna go back and discuss something that happened down there involving the cousin named Robert Taylor in 1956. So I'm gonna tell you what I know as far as what happened to Jess and Robert Taylor. Alright, I'm walking an old trail here that I've heard about all my life. This ain't the first time I've walked this. This is an old road bed that goes down through here. But for some reason or another, my triple great grandfather's son, or one of them, ended up being found dead on this trail right down here 89 years ago. His name was Jess Taylor. He was born in 1908. He was found dead down here in 1933. He's laying up on the bank of the road down here right before the hill drops off down to the creek. He was 25 years old. So I'm gonna venture on down here, and I'm gonna find the spot where he was. I've been by there before. It's just been a long time since I've been to it. But I've heard about this story about Jess Taylor, biggest part of my life. And we're gonna go right straight on down through here. Road goes down about out of sight there and kind of bears back to the left. I'm still on this same road bed. This road bed starts dropping down into the hill just a little bit right here. You can see it right here. But as far as Jess Taylor, nobody knew exactly where he had been or where he was going when he come through here. This road bed, I guess back in the day, was kind of like a cut across road. One of the main county roads is probably 3/4 of a mile back out behind me. And going on a straight line, it's probably 3/4 of a mile or maybe a mile straight over to the next county road. So this road was kind of a shortcut back in the day. But the road comes on down through here. You better be watching for snakes right now. Copperhead and cottonmouth, pretty much. Alright, right here is where this road really cuts in and bears to the left. I don't know exactly where he was found right here, but I know about. Get right on over here just a little further. Alright. The old road right there, when it gets out of sight, it starts cutting back to the right. This is the main spot on this road where I know it, where I always knew it cuts around this hill right here. As you go around this hill and another 100 yards down the hill there, the road runs right into the creek. And there used to be an old bridge down there across that creek. That's Moss's Creek, the one I got my channel name here after. And the story is just right where the road starts to bend to go around this hill. He was up on the bank, somewhere right in here. Uncle of mine told me that somebody come over here and found him, but he was laying up on this bank on the upper side of the road here dead. Like I said, he was 25 years old when it happened. And Jess was known to drink real bad. There was a heavy line of alcohol in throughout a bunch of those family members back then, right along when Jess was living. There was a lot of my granddad's cousins and different people and uncles. They was bad alcoholics. But you go down this road and cross the creek, and when you get on the other side, there's an old home place over there. And that's where my granddad and I think some of the other kids lived when he was growing up. They called it the old Bose King place. And I think my granddad told me that when he was growing up, they moved like 8 or 9 times, something like that. A lot of places they moved to, they'd live a year or two and then they'd turn around and then they'd move back to where they originally came from. Nobody knows exactly who come over here and found Jess dead up on the ditch bank over here, but Jess had kind of just roamed off, or nobody knew where he went. Like I say, he was bad to drink. As I've always heard, a lot of folks always believed that he drank way too much, and I guess that's what killed him. He just laid down on the bank up here and died. But whoever come over here and found him, come over here, I guess, and drove down this old road, as the story is, in an old car. They put him in that car, set him up in the car, and him dead, and hauled him about a 3/4 of a mile maybe back up here to his daddy and mother's house. And his mother had to come out of the house and see that. She had to see her boy sitting in the car dead. But everybody believes that's what happened to Jess, is he drank too much. This is a pretty area back down in here. A real natural place. A lot of things hadn't been disturbed in many years. But I believe Jess would have been up on this bank somewhere right in here. It's kind of a little bit of a mystery. Nobody really knows. I'm gonna jump from where Jess was up here about a mile down the creek. And I'm gonna talk about a guy that was a cousin on my granddad's side. His name was Robert Taylor. He was a state constable back in 1956. Gonna be moving down to the old Bartley gristmill site. And I'll see you when I get down there. There used to be old whiskey stills all through this country. I remember my granddaddy telling a story one time about when he was squirrel hunting with a .22 rifle, he walked up on 50 gallons of it. He said he shot holes in every bit of it. There also used to be old sawmills all across the country. Lots of people out there used to work hard every day, sawing lumber and cutting timber. I remember my granddaddy talking about how hard people used to work back in the early days when he was growing up. Cross-cut saw was the main thing back in those days. Also a lot of men working hard with an axe. Alright, I'm at the Bartley gristmill site. It's just right down below me here. I run up on my granddad's initials on this beech tree and where he dated it, March the 21st, 1982. But this is a very beautiful natural area. It's just really, really pretty right in here. Look how that beech tree's growing right up on top of this rock. It's just sitting right on the top of it. Robert Taylor, he was a constable back in, I don't know how long, I guess he's constable several years. But in 1956 is when he died down here. And the story was, he was at my grandpa's house, about a half a mile back up here. And the law pulled up outside one day. And Robert was also another one that was known to drink a whole lot. He was a constable, but he drank real bad. And when the law pulled up, he went running out the back door of the house and headed off toward the old creek run down here. And well, as time went on, Robert ended up under this big rock right here, where you see this little dry spot of dirt right up under this rock. This is where he wound up. He stayed gone from the house a pretty good long while, and some folks decided to get together and, well, let's go find Robert. Let's see where he's at, see where he's hiding at. So they come down, they found there was a little small pile of sticks right here up under this rock where he had attempted to build a fire. The sticks were piled up, but they had never been set on fire. So they come down and they tracked him out across this bottom right here. And right out there where you see that real bright spot, that's the old mill pond. Right beyond that on the other side is where the old gristmill was. And they tracked Robert out to the edge of that mill pond, but his tracks went up to the edge of the water, and it looked like he bent down to fill a whiskey bottle up, I assume, full of water to drink. But his tracks never returned and came back this way. I'm gonna step on up here to the edge of the mill pond here now. Folks tracked Robert up to right here. This is the old mill pond here. There's a trail that goes that way and one that way. So with his tracks going up to the edge of the water, and it appeared that he had been over to get a drink, but based on his tracks not returning back in the direction where he came from, people had pretty much decided that Robert had fell face forward over into the mill pond and drowned, and they suspicioned that he was in the mill pond under the water somewhere. And yes, indeed, Robert's body was in the mill pond. He had fell in and drowned and was on the bottom. There were several people down here when that event took place. My granddad's oldest brother was here in 1956 when that came up, and a number of other folks. Robert Taylor's brother was here, Lewis Taylor. Lewis was the one that waded out into the mill pond and raised his brother's body up. And Robert was out in there in the mill pond on the bottom, and Lewis waded out into the mill pond, maybe up to his chest, and was taking his foot and feeling around for Robert's body. And he felt Robert on the bottom. So he took his foot, Lewis did, and raised up on Robert's body. And when he did, Robert's body come floating to the top. And the story on that is when Lewis seen that it was his brother, when he come floating to the top, Lewis almost passed out, and another person that was here that day had to jump in and grab a hold of Lewis before he drowned. So it was quite a story, and has been for many, many years. So appreciate you watching this video about me telling what happened to Jess and Robert Taylor. Until next time, I'm Garen Carlin, owner of Mosses Creek Outdoors, and we'll see you on the next episode.